Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised that America's favorite feminist, the gatekeepers to Club Yenta, why am I not surprised that they are going out of their way to blame the man in a scandal that involves a woman? Why am I not surprised by this? Why am I not surprised that the Yentas are incapable of being objective? Is it really that difficult to set aside your bias? Is it really that difficult to set aside your personal narrative and give an accurate and honest assessment of this story? Is it really that difficult to do? All of my ladies out there, especially my younger ladies, let Uncle Casey give you a piece of very valuable advice. If you don't believe anything else that I say, if you think I am some toxically masculine misogynist who's against women because I think the WNBA is a rancid dump, all that is fine, that's fine, but just for 1 second, put aside your perception of me and listen to this valuable advice. If you are sending risque photos to a man who is not your husband, if you are sending explicit pictures to your latest Tinder match or some Roger Royd that you met at the gym, or the new janitor at your office that you find attractive because he puts lemon-scented trash bags in your garbage can, whatever the case may be, if you are sending adult-themed pictures to a man that is not your husband, there is no expectation of privacy. If you're gonna do this, you better know that you are sending these pictures at your own risk. I promise you, if you are sending nudes to some dude that you met on Tinder, he is sharing them with all of his friends at happy hour. Don't put yourself in this situation. Do not put yourself in a situation where you're giving away all of your power to a man that you don't know. And for the love of God, never, ever, ever send these kinds of pictures to a married man, because when the darkness that you're participating in is eventually coming to the light, you are going to be the one that is blamed. And if you don't believe me, just go ask Olivia Nuzzi. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. I'll be back on the second channel later today. Haven't figured out the topic just yet, but if you have a suggestion, shoot me an email, btlkc84@gmail.com. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering the same thing that I was when I saw these headlines this morning. Who in the hell is Olivia Nuzzi? Olivia Nuzzi is a 31-year-old journalist born and raised in New Woke City. She started her journalism career by working as an intern for Tony Weiner. You guys remember Tony, right? He is the former congressman from New York City who was busted multiple times sending photos of his mini cucumber. Tony, he was really proud of his Franken beans, but unfortunately, the ladies weren't all that impressed. While working for Tony, Olivia Nuzzi, she developed a reputation for laziness and attention-seeking behavior. Tony Weiner's communications director, she described Olivia Nuzzi as wanting to be seen and not wanting to show up and work. As we progress through this story, I want you to keep that description in mind, because that's a very important detail. February 2017, she was hired by New York Magazine to be their correspondent responsible for covering the filth in Washington, D.C. 1 year later, she allegedly entered the home of Corey Lewandowski without permission. Now, for those that don't know, Corey Lewandowski, he is the former campaign manager for the Trumper. According to the Washington Post, Olivia Nuzzi, she entered the house without permission because no one answered when she knocked on the door. Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. You knock on the door, no one answers, so you decide to pretend that it's a bed and breakfast and you make yourself at home? Let me give another piece of advice to Olivia Nuzzi. Do not try that below the Mason-Dixon line. You walk into someone's house uninvited down in the South, there is no guarantee that you will be walking out. Late last week, Olivia Nuzzi, she was placed on leave by New York Magazine. Now, anytime I see that someone has been placed on leave, it always seems like it's a polite way of saying, enjoy your last paycheck while we prepare to fire your dumb ass. Why was Olivia Nuzzi asked to vacate the premises? Because she admitted to having a personal relationship with a subject that she was covering during the presidential campaign. Now, that subject, it was eventually revealed to be Robert Kennedy Jr. Last year, Olivia Nuzzi wrote a scathing article about RFK, which is fine. That's fine. That's her job. As a woke reporter in the media, her job is to demonize and destroy anyone that refuses to abide by the woke commandments. Problem is, once she had access to RFK's phone number, she allegedly bombarded him with risque photos and videos. Now, from what I have read, Olivia Nuzzi was sending these photos and videos unsolicited. From what I understand, it wasn't like RFK was pressuring her. It wasn't like he was saying, hey, baby, let me see those melons. I have been looking at Donnie Lemons all night and I need a change of scenery. Not only was RFK apparently not asking for the photos and videos, he also blocked Olivia Nuzzi's phone number, meaning I guess he didn't want to see him. Now, more than likely, I would assume that Robert Kennedy didn't want his wife finding out that some reporter was bombarding him with the bosom. I mean, who can blame him, right? Married dudes, they don't want that problem. So he blocked Olivia Nuzzi from being able to contact him. Several weeks later, Olivia Nuzzi, she allegedly emailed Robert Kennedy asking for him to unblock her because she had some crucial information to share with him. I guess this piqued his curiosity because Robert Kennedy unblocked her so they could talk on the phone. Later that night, Olivia Nuzzi sent him another racy picture where she was wearing the same thing that Eve wore in the Garden of Eden before biting into the forbidden fruit. Nothing. Once again, RFK blocked her. Now keep in mind, while all this is going on, Olivia Nuzzi was engaged to be married to some clueless dude who had no idea what was going on. I can tell you with almost 100% certainty that he was clueless here because if he knew what was going on, if he knew that his 31-year-old fiance was sending pictures of the bosom to some 70-year-old dude, I would imagine he would be disgusted. No offense to RFK when I say that, but, you know, you're old enough to be your grandfather. A woman named Jessica Krause, she knows both Olivia Nuzzi and Robert Kennedy Jr. She claimed that Olivia Nuzzi would ask her personal, intimate questions about RFK. She claimed her questions went beyond journalistic standards and were bordering on obsession. Basically, Jessica Krause, she believes that Olivia Nuzzi was obsessed with some dude that is old enough to be her grandfather. Robert Kennedy, he is thinking about suing Olivia Nuzzi. He's hired a private investigator to build his case. Now, all that is an abridged version of events, but I think you get the point here. With that being said, what does this look like to you? Who is most to blame for this situation? Olivia Nuzzi or Robert Kennedy Jr.? I think the vast majority of people are going to blame Olivia Nuzzi. With the information that we have available, she seems to be the aggressor. RFK is blocking her number. He is doing everything he can to distance himself from this politically fatal attraction, while Olivia Nuzzi, she is allegedly doing everything she can to seduce him. If you look at this objectively, there's no way you can come to any other conclusion, right? Now, to be fair, Robert Kennedy has a long history of philandering. Let's be real here. It's entirely possible that he is guilty of participating in this, but all we can do is go off of the information that's available. And based on that information, it appears that Olivia Nuzzi is the aggressor. Not according to the Yentas on The View, though. No! According to the Yentas, We should not be blaming Olivia Nuzzi. Oh, that poor victim. She fell into the trap of toxic masculinity. Oh my God. Oh. According to the ladies on The View, RFK should be held responsible. RFK should receive most of the blame. Watch for yourself.
I also don't understand why it's all falling on her. She's 31 years old. She's a young reporter. From what I understand is she's, is a fantastic reporter.
Jump in because I actually consider her a friend. She was really there for me and a part of my life when she didn't need to be. I agree. It blurred ethical lines. I don't agree with what she did. I think she will acknowledge it and take responsibility. Every time I see a headline that says Olivia Nuzzi scandal, no, RFK scandal, a former presidential candidate who's married for, I want to say, the third time, who engaged in this, who's now a top surrogate to the Republican nominee for president. But it goes back to just this sexism that we fall into. The reality is this. People want to make money in this business. You put up a picture of Olivia, more people are clicking than if you put up a picture of this man. I think that men need to bear a little more responsibility in this.
What responsibility should RFK take? How can you possibly claim this is sexism? How in the hell is this sexism? How in the hell is this misogyny? If Olivia Nuzzi was some low-level staffer on RFK's campaign, I could understand it. But she was a journalist. She was a journalist that was responsible for covering his campaign. Journalism 101. You don't develop personal relationships with the people that you are covering. Why? It clouds your judgment. It creates bias. Do I think RFK is 100% innocent in all of this? Absolutely not. If he had been married for 30 or 40 or 50 years with no allegations of cheating while having a reputation as a faithful husband, I would be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. The problem is he didn't have that reputation. But here's the thing. Who had the most to lose in all of this? Who had the most to lose if this situation became public? Robert Kennedy, a multimillionaire who is set for life, or a young aspiring journalist who's at the beginning stages of her career? I go back to what I said at the beginning of this video. Ladies, please do not do this to yourself. According to Vanity Fair, when Robert Kennedy was married to Kathleen Richardson, he was known to share explicit photos with his friends that he had taken of other women. I have 39 years of experience being a man. I've got 39 years of experience hanging around other dudes. That dude you met on Bumble that you have been dating for 3 weeks, and he seems like a nice boy. Believe me when I tell you, he's not. If you send him explicit pictures, he's sharing them with his friends. Unless you are sending them to your husband, there is no expectation of privacy. So don't do this to yourself. Give me your thoughts on this. The Yentas on The View blame RFK for Olivia Nuzzi bombarding him with explicit pictures. Now, I will give credit to Ana Navarro. She was the only panelist who at least tried to look at this objectively. The rest of the women on The View, they blame the man. It's always the man's fault. Who is to blame here? Is it Olivia Nuzzi? Is it RFK? I think most of the blame falls on Olivia Nuzzi because she had the most to lose. Plus, she once dated Keith Olbermann. Keithy Poo! Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.